Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to the F.O.B. It's Dr. Yash here. So, like I told y'all, going to do a little bit of a mechanical update. Just spending a little bit of time on the bus today, playing around with it. I say mechanical, but I also mean electrical. You get to hear this lovely emergency door closing. It's great. That's actually going to be, once I get to the insulation part of it, once I get up to that point, I'll actually be pulling this door off because I'm going to be pulling the door apart to insulate it. So the door will be, those hinges will be taken apart, cleaned all the rust off of them and greased. So that'll be nice. That should be coming soon. But anyway, as far as electrical stuff goes, there's a few things that did need to be repaired on this. I'll go ahead and show you what I've started on today. Alright, so here you can see the front end open. I still have to fix that panel over there, but you can see the front end open, and actually I've pulled, normally this is just a flat panel in here, but this is the heater. This is the front heater. It has the driver heater and the defroster. I've actually come in here and cleaned some stuff up and put some clean the rust up, clean the peeling paint and stuff like that up, and put some rust prevention spray. You can see there's a bit of corrosion here. This panel here needs to be done too. You can see all this paint's peeling. The metal is actually, it looks a lot more orange on the camera than it does in person. You see, although all the paint's peeling off, the metal itself is actually still in pretty decent shape, so mostly just needs to be cleaned up. But you can see how easy this one spins. This is a defroster motor. This is the heater motor. So yeah, I have an offending heater motor. So I ran it for a while. Got see if I can get this unplugged. I'll show you what's going on. There we go. So thankfully that didn't start melting because it got pretty hot. I got it, this actually was completely seized before, but I got it to spin. Actually, I got it to spin under its own power, and it doesn't appear that it damaged anything, so that's good. So that's one thing I've started on. It's funny. Do not place objects on this panel, and I have this heater motor and stuff on there, so there's a reason for that. It's fiberglass, it's not very strong, so I'll set this over here. Yeah, you can see that's the heater core. You can see the heater control valve. You can see the heater hoses running from the back. So, very interesting setup there. Very serviceable setup. It is made by Bergstrom. So it's all like aftermarket stuff. This thing's built kind of like a boat in some ways, where everything is modular. And this is literally just a box that slides into the dash. So it has a cabin filter, which is not in there now. Part of the frame was messed up on that, so I'm going to have to replace that. I don't know. Looks like somebody's been in here. Thankfully, that's not within where all the air is going to be getting pulled through. It's just on the edges. The rest of the fins look pretty good. So, I don't see anything crazy in there. Might need to do some cleaning on there. That's kind of ugly. But yeah, a lot of these fins get bent. They're just these little aluminum fins. I'm not even going to bother with that. You disturb that, you'll probably end up with some kind of leak. But you can see a little bit of green corrosion there on the copper, but nothing crazy. Yeah, so that's the heater. Let me show you some other stuff I got. Alright, so the next thing I worked on today is the battery box. I worked on cleaning this out today, because previously you couldn't pull this drawer out. So if you wanted to work with the batteries, you had to reach in there. So that was kind of annoying. These handles always moved, but you couldn't slide the whole drawer out. So now you can pull them out with one hand while making a video. So a whole lot easier. I do have a little bit of repair work to do. Show you right here. You can see where, I guess, over the course of all those miles, you can see this crack here. The tray is cracked where the battery sits on it. It ain't pretty in here. It's definitely pretty ugly. But if any of you have ever seen a battery tray, they always look bad because acid fumes and all that stuff are not nice to metal. It's very corrosive. So, as you can see, it's just a square box. So if I ever have any problems with it coming apart, I can always just patch it up. So I do have some work to do there, but I was glad to be able to pull this out. The battery charger usually sits here. I am going to be using a different charger that's not going to be in the battery box with it. The cables are probably going to come down the same way they do for the rest of everything. And just hook up positive here, negative here. I'm going to be running an RV style battery charger in the 120 volt. I'm going to have it hardwired in so that it's always running as long as you got, basically as long as this thing's hooked up to shore power or however you want to describe that. It's going to have power going into the batteries. So there we go, got the door closed. I'll show you the next thing. I've already started cleaning this engine up pretty good. You can see the top of it, working on cleaning that off. Cleaned up as much of the inside of this engine compartment as I could. It's a lot cleaner and drier. You know, a whole lot nicer looking in here than it was. Just little by little, just cleaning up rusty stuff. You can see the air box just kind of hanging out there. I do need to make like a snorkel. There is all the tubes that came off of it. I'm going to use them and put the air intake up somewhere in this vicinity, up and out of the way. If water comes up in here, it's not going to go directly into the intake. Of course, it would probably drain out of the bottom, but still, as you can see, that's just a metal tube in there. Actually, you can't even see. Yeah, when you see those fins, that's just where you're getting to the air filter itself. So most of your water would probably go straight down into the bottom of that drum anyway and come out the little duck bill. So I'm not too worried about that, but the less water we can get in there accidentally, the better. I may put some in there on purpose through water injection, but we want something metered. We don't want big mud puddles splashing in there. That's not really water injection. That's more, that's bad. Anyway, so I do have some wiring to clean up still. This is like wires going to the starter. This is wires from the starter switch setup that the previous owners had put in there. I'm just going back through all that. And I got some stuff here I need to clean up. But all this is going to be cleaned out. But mostly what I'm doing is just cleaning all this up because I'm about to be knee deep in this thing doing maintenance top to bottom on the engine and transmission. Everything from the air filter to that oil filter to that fuel filter, coolant filter. You can see that says caution, yellow coolant only. I don't know where they went to school at, but that's green. I don't think that goes in there, but you know, at least it's got something in there to keep the rust away while it's sitting. I'm not going to run it that way. Cavitation problems and stuff like that can be a major issue if you use the wrong coolant in a diesel, so we're not going to use the wrong coolant in this diesel. Yeah, yellow, green, so that's not a good thing. The fluid in here is going to get changed as well. This is of course your oh, it's actually at the add line. This is of course your hydraulic tank for your power steering and a hydraulic system for the hydraulic fan motor, because this is a side radiator setup, so it has a hydraulic fan motor system. So I'm going to be changing that fluid out. Once I find out what fluid needs to go in it, I actually don't know what goes in it yet, so we will see what happens there. But engine oil's getting changed, of course. Valve adjustment. These are going to be things that are going to be done over the course of time here in the future, but this is the next up and coming mechanical things that are getting done. The oil cooler housing, there's something that needs to be checked on these 3126s from what I've been reading and people I've listened to that are familiar with these engines. This is the oil cooler housing, and what can happen is the gasket between the housing and the oil cooler itself can break in the middle, and it can let oil bypass the filter, which is not a good thing, especially on a system with HEUI injection that takes that engine oil in whatever state that it may be in, ramps up the pressure from 40 to, in this case I did a demand test on it, it ramped it up to 3,300 psi. So you need as clean oil as possible in a pump that does that, which is this pump right here. This one. Hard to see. That one. That one. The one tucked in underneath the charge pipe. That is an expensive pump. You don't want it to break. So that is one of the major downfalls of a 3126 is its HEUI injection. So you want to do everything in your power to keep that alive. So making sure that all the oil goes through the filter is a good step. It's not the only one I'm going to take, but it is one. So you can see it's not a whole lot going on there. Maybe have to pull the turbo to get really good access to it, but I may be able to sneak everything around the turbo as well. But we'll see. So anyways, that gasket needs to be changed, and then the oil pan, you can see how clean that is. That actually came out really nice. I was surprised. That oil pan is going to get dropped once the oil's drained out of it, and I'm going to be checking the oil pump idler gear, because that was another thing that was mentioned, was that the idler gear can get some wear in it, because you know this thing does have nearly 250,000 miles on it, so I want to make sure everything is perfect, if I can, yeah, as good as I can get it, you know. Of course, belts, you can see that's nice and tight. Water pump belt, so you know, all that stuff's going to be checked out and changed as necessary. Just going to go in and put belts in it. So all that stuff, I don't know the history on it, so I know I'm going to change it just to be sure of it. So anyways, there's a few other things that I did as well. I pulled a lot of wiring out for the wiring harness that went to this front compartment here. This was actually where the original diesel-fired boiler used to live. There was some big old connectors and fuel lines and stuff running through that square hole there. So I basically came in here, pulled them out, pulled the harnesses out from the rest of the harnesses, got rid of that stuff. So you don't just have a bunch of dead wiring floating around, collecting dirt, creating rust, creating more congestion if I ever did need to get in underneath it to do wiring jobs. So if it's not needed, if it don't have a purpose, it's going away. So that's pretty much what's been going on here. Behind there, see, serviceability. Got a fuel filter right there. I mean, I'm actually surprised I can't turn that. Probably been on there a while, but yeah, it's going to be all cat filters on it when I put it back together. I'm usually a big Wix fan, but when it comes to the engine and stuff on these, with this injection system being kind of sensitive, I'm going to go with the cat filters for the oil and fuel filter. Transmission filters, I'm just going to go with Wix. I'll just stick with Wix for the air filter, it'll be fine. And of course for that coolant filter. But first time I'm dealing with a system that has a coolant filter on it, so that's new to me. I always wondered why coolant wasn't filtered on most things, but I was actually kind of glad to see something that, because coolant can get dirty too. You just collect all the trash in that. But anyways, I can give you a better idea of what I got going on here. You see, you got half of that valve cover is tucked up underneath there. Of course, these are all heater bypasses for winter versus summer use. A lot of these are sticking, so anyway. Actually, that's a valve that goes to the coolant filter. I got to figure all that stuff out too, because I really don't know how they've got all this set up. But anyways, that's all part of it still being fairly new to me. So you pull that valve cover off and you're halfway down the engine out here, and the other half of it's tucked underneath there. So I'll be doing a valve adjustment, like this. So it won't be too bad though. But anyways, yeah, still got a bunch of wiring to clean up on top of the engine and stuff, but it'll be done soon enough. So So, alright, that about wraps it up as far as the mechanical stuff goes. I got some stuff as far as the software goes on this thing. I actually did get a heavy-duty scan tool. Started playing around with that. I haven't actually done anything except for, like I mentioned, a demand test on the Huey pump. But once I familiarize myself more with that software package, I'll do a little bit more videos on the computer and show you what I've done there and what I have the ability to do with that scan tool, and then some of my plans on what I will do with it, unless I end up doing them, and then I'll show you what I've already done. So hopefully I actually get some of that stuff done quickly, and I can actually show you progress with as far as 6th gear, enabling 6th gear on this thing, and you know, some stuff to the engine. So that's all going to be fun. I love playing with scan tools. So that'll be another video in the near future. But you can see what I've done mechanically, as well as, you know, the previous video with the inside living quarters updates. So this will give you a better idea. This is the side of these tiny houses, these buses, all this stuff that people don't talk about, because quite frankly they don't know anything about it. They're not doing it. You know, they pay someone thousands of dollars to do the kind of stuff that I'm able to do for, you know, hundreds of dollars. You know, it might cost me $500-600 to do a full-blown everything as far as maintenance goes on this thing, and someone would be paying thousands of dollars to do that. And you know, most of those maintenance schedules on these fluids are 300,000 miles in 10 years, and these people are never going to do it. I'm never going to do that. I just want them fresh, because, you know, it's due both in years and miles in some of these cases. So I'm sure the maintenance has been done, but, you know, don't leave any stone unturned. But it's cheap insurance, you know. So $500 on an engine and transmission package that costs thousands of dollars each to replace them with used stuff. I mean, you're way better off just going ahead and biting the bullet, doing it, making sure it's right, using high quality stuff. So anyways, yeah, so I think that about wraps it up for the mechanical update. A few things I've done, mechanical and electrical update. Just pretty much pulling a lot of unnecessary things out of it overall. So it's a lot of fun. It's really dirty though. You know, a lot of flaky stuff needs to be cleaned up, as far as flaky rust and all that, just from the salt underneath this thing. Nothing really structurally wrong with it. It's just ugly under there. So I might get a video up under there next time. But anyways, I'm getting into that rambly mode. So I'm gonna jump off of here. Y'all know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you later.